Good day, good day, good day, and welcome to Drew's Book Reviews. You know, I really should have it figured out by now that a TBR really kind of means a MBR, might be read. Let's talk about it. Coming right up here on Drew's Book Reviews. All right, let's talk about my month of January and what I read this month, or at least what I planned to read, but didn't quite get through my entire TBR. You know, this isn't the first time this has happened to me. You'd think I would have learned by now that it really should be might be read. No wonder so many booktubers are calling it might be read these days. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So first and foremost, of course, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think and what you read in the comments down below, or join me on my Discord and Bookstagram, or even join me over on Hardcover, the new social network. One of these days I might get around to making a video on that. Anyway, let's talk about what I read here in the month of January. So of course, for the month of January, one of my most anticipated reads of the year was released at midnight, January 1st. And if you didn't know it already, where have you been? That of course was Tress of the Emerald Sea. Check out my review of Tress of the Emerald Sea. I'll have that link down below and in the card somewhere up above as well. This was a book that I had been waiting almost a year to read, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to read it. I can't wait to receive my physical hard copy. I wish I had it so I could hold it up for you. Here, let's just pretend I'm holding it up right now. Right there, see? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, Tress of the Emerald Sea, Brandon Sanderson's latest in the Cosmere, book one of his secret projects, was released this month in January, and I'm so happy that I got the chance to read it. So definitely more of a YA Princess Bride inspired fairy tale like book, and I didn't mention fairy tale in the review, but definitely I could see why a lot of people are referring to it as a fairy tale type story as well. But definitely it's one I really enjoyed, and I'm so happy I got the opportunity to read it. This is the first book in the Cosmere directly from Hoyd, the famous world hopper's perspective. Definitely go check out my review on Tress of the Emerald Sea, or jump in my Discord. We can chat about it as well if you've read it. I'd love to hear from you on that. That was so much fun. So far, I would have to say probably the book of the month. Hey, that's a good idea. I should start doing book of the month. So we're going to say Tress of the Emerald Sea is book of the month for January. Definitely my favorite read for the month of January. Absolutely loved it. Even though I didn't rate it as super high, I think I gave it like 3.5 stars or something like that, I think. But for a Sanderson novel, compared to the others, that's how I was kind of rating that. But if I were really to compare it to others, definitely it's going to have a much higher rating, probably at least 4.5. But anyway, check it out. Check out my review of Tress of the Emerald Sea. One of the other books that I read this month was Monstrous Regiment by Terry Pratchett. So this is a book about the misfits of the army and how there's always a war going on and there's a bunch of misfits. These misfits are not only monsters. I mean, we got a troll, we got a vampire, we got girls are in the army, which is Discworld is like, what? They don't belong in the army, but these are a bunch of girls that ran away to join the army and tried to fit in with the boys of the army and trying to learn how to be men in the army kind of thing. And the Monstrous Regiment just turned out to be one of the best regiments in the entire army. So this was a good, fun, entertaining read, as Terry Pratchett always is. I'm pretty sure I've got a short on Monstrous Regiment, I think. I don't even remember, but hey, maybe check out my shorts. Maybe you'll see it there, who knows. Anyway, Terry Pratchett's Monstrous Regiment was a good and fun read, as Discworld books always are. The next book on this list is actually, to be honest, kind of a disappointment for me. I had heard a lot about it, and I really thought that this would be a better and more enjoyable read than it turned out to be. I haven't done a dedicated review on this, but The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I'd been trying to get into a lot more science fiction, and I'd heard a lot about the Three-Body Problem, and it had come recommended. It's apparently a Hugo Award-winning book, but I'm kind of split on this one. I love the big ideas and concepts within this book. I really do, and I think there's some great ideas, and I think there's so much potential for further world development, so to speak, and to expand upon the ideas presented within this book. But so much of it was bogged down with technical science jargon. And don't get me wrong, I love learning about scientific principles and ideas and understanding them and how they work and the mathematics behind that and how that reveals to us what we learn about the universe. And there's a lot of this book that deals with that, particularly the three-body problem of physics, of the gravitational influence of three bodies in space kind of idea. But so much of this book was devoted to discussing in a very technical way these problems that you could take out half this book and not lose much, it feels, because there's too much of that in there. In my feelings, this ended up being a disappointment for me. I was anticipating this would be at least a 4-star read for me, but I kind of ended up rating it at 2.5 out of 5, just because too much of that technical stuff, not enough story and character development for me personally. So I did not enjoy that one as much as I had hoped that I would. One of the other books that I finished up this month was The Dragon Republic. So this is by R.F. Kuang, the second book in the Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And I am loving this series, absolutely loving it. I do not have The Burning God, I believe, is the next one in this series. I don't have that book yet, but you can bet I'm going to eventually get it. So this has to do with magi or magic users who basically have the gods possess them and funnel their power through them. And that's how they do the magic that they do. And this is based off of Eastern or Chinese history, kind of in a historical time period in China and the warring factions and the Opium Wars. Just a fun read. I'm really enjoying this take on this magic system in this world and the Poppy War and the gods and everything like that. I'm really enjoying that. I love that from it. And I am so happy I picked this up because after reading this, I realized I'm really missing a lot of fantasy that is not, European medieval type fantasy. I definitely want to get more reading and more fantasy from other cultures and that are inspired by or based on other cultures, and I would love to get more into that. So I cannot wait to get to The Burning God eventually. One of those books I'm going to have to pick up and buy eventually because I'm really enjoying that series. One of the other books that I finished up this month was the second book in the Sword of Truth series. So that is Stone of Tears by Terry Goodkind. So I finished this one up this month on my reread of The Sword of Truth. This one is definitely really enjoyable. Richard has been taken captive essentially by the Sisters of the Light, and the Stone of Tears, which holds the Keeper in the underworld, has been set loose into this world. And the Keeper is threatening to burst free into the world of living, and Richard must find his way out of his captivity to save the world, kind of thing. This is a good read. I'm enjoying this series as my reread, and I really am loving getting back to Richard and Kaylin and their adventures and everything that we are learning about them. It's so much fun to go back and reread and spend time with characters you've come to love from previous reading experiences. So that is what I am reading, or have read, completed my reads for January, which brings me to a total of 5 books read for the month of January and 5 books read for 2023, or at least completed in 2023. So, which kind of brings me to what am I reading right now? So what I'm reading right now is Foundation's Edge. I was hoping to finish this one before the end of the month, but I just don't think I'm going to have time to do that. As the day of filming, I've got about 3 hours of reading time basically in this book between now and the end of the month. So I don't think I'm actually going to finish Foundation's Edge by the end of January, but I'm going to finish it, of course. This is also a reread for me, but a reread from books that I'd read probably 25 years ago, something like that. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I read Isaac Asimov's Foundation. This is truly epic and grand in scope in terms of the overall size of the universe and galactic proportions that Isaac Asimov has created. The Foundation set up to hold off 30,000 years of barbarian dark ages in the galaxy, and Harry Seldon's plan for the future of humanity. So this is a good and interesting read. We're at Foundation's Edge. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th book in the series. 5th. Actually, the 5th one in the series at this point. But overall, if you haven't read any of this classic Isaac Asimov Foundation, this is worth checking out. Each book covers a different time span over the 1,000 years of galactic history that the story covers. And it is classic and epic. I love the ideas in there, the psychohistory, the ability to predict the outcome of large groups of people and how they're going to behave, the mob mentality essentially, and how that behavior is going to influence the future and predict it to a high degree. Love that aspect of it. brilliant concept, just overall good book, which kind of leads me to a book that I thought I would get to in the month of January, but in fact did not. This book was actually the viewer's choice read, so I didn't get to it in January, but I am going to be reading it as soon as I'm done Foundations Ed, so I'm still going to read it. I'm still going to get my review done on it because it is the viewer's choice pick. It's definitely still going to happen, and that is book 1 of Jim Butcher's series, The Codex Illitera, The Furies of Calderon. I don't know much about this series. I've heard from many people that it's not as good as the Dresden Files, but I'm still going to read it. I think I'm going to enjoy it. I love the Dresden Files, so Jim Butcher is definitely an author that I like, that I know I like. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. This was actually the viewer's choice book for the January to be read, which I guess turned into a might be read. But don't worry, I'm still going to get to this book. I'm still going to review it as soon as I get to it. I promise. It's going to happen. Not exactly sure when, but I am still committed to getting a review on this book out sometime before the end of February. So, there you have it. That's what I read in January. There was my reading month for the month of January 2023, the first month of the year. So tell me in the comments down below or join me on my Discord, how is your reading going for this year so far? Have you read any good books? Do you have a most disappointing or most satisfying read of the month? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And, as usual, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep on reading. Bye!